Hello everyone. The topic for the day is OD implementation, the phases thereof. Elements of OD processes. Let us understand into it. Organizational development, what is the first thing? It is all about entering and contracting, diagnosing, as in the organizational problems, so the group problem or a job issue that comes around it. Then probably we are looking for the change, exact change that we need to go around it. The planning and the implementation that is of utmost requirement, importance. Last but not the least would be evaluating and institutionalizing the change that we have said. So first is a contract mode that we comes around it and state whether what kind of changes that goes around it. Then probably we are looking at diagnosing the problem as to what is the problem that is plaguing the organization, thereby what are the various solutions that can be improved in the localities as far as these problems are concerned altogether. Now this needs to be notified altogether, right? And eventually it will be a new change, a new institutionalization that comes around it. So from this space, from this point, we have actually achieved into a new paradigm which has been there, which is a complete change. What is the change that comes around it? This is the change that is being brought about as far as the OD is concerned. So remember, from entering to diagnosing to planning and to eventually institutionalizing the changes that comes around, that needs to be taken into account. So entering contract are initial step, the first steps of OD processes, which actually tells me what are the parameters which is vital and for carrying out the subsequent phase of OD. So what are they? They are all about diagnosing the organization, planning and implementing the change, and probably evaluating and institutionalizing the changes thereby. So entering the OD relationship, what is the organizational issues? This needs to be identified. Determining the relevant clients, the various stakeholders that will be impacted, and how to mitigate and solicit cooperation, get cooperation for to get the desired objective met, and select appropriate OD practitioner is what we do it. So let us understand the organizational issues. What can be there? There can be specific issues. For example, there is a decrease in market share, probably increase in absenteeism or employee problem, increase in dispute or grievances that has been coming around it, or it might be a very generic problem that we goes around it. It is the organization growing too fast, needs a rapid change, probably it has not been able to handle the fast movement that the organization is probably going through, or the other way around. So at this stage, presenting the problem is only a symptom. Remember, it's only a symptom of the underlying problem. This is the most vital thing, because once you have diagnosed the problem in a correct fashion, only this will help you to mitigate the problem eventually and come across with a viable, vibrant solution there. So determining the relevant client, what are they? Generally, the relevant client includes those organization members who can directly impact on the change issues. Unless these members are identified, included in entering and contracting process, they may be withholding their support for the commitment to the OD practices. This is what we are looking into it. They may withhold their support if you do not have all the stakeholders into your fold. If everybody is not cooperating, your achievement of your objectives might be a little bit compromised. So in trying to improve the productivity of a unionized plant, let's say, the relevant client might include union officials also, as well as the managers, as well as the staff personnel. So if we can have each of the stakeholders being a party to the chain, that solves half of your problem. In fact, most of your problem. It is not unusual for a OD project to fail because relevant client was inappropriately defined. First and the foremost thing that I've been trying to tell it to you immemorial times is identify the key stakeholders that is going to be impacted both adversely and in a beneficial manner. Then it is all about diagnosing the organization. Need to understand how the organization functions, how what are the ethos that have been present, how what is the flow of the information that is being percolated. Do you see that there is a successful entry in this contracting flow of firm altogether, because this is very important as far as an organization is concerned, or else the OD practitioner would always be at the receiving ends if there are no support or proper transparent communication is not in place. So this needs to be a collaborative process between the organizational members and the OD consultant. This is very important. If the collaboration is missing, if it is even in half of the spirit, it will result in dire consequences. So diagnosis needs to uncover such kind of causes for specific problem, or it may be directed to assessing the overall functioning of the departments to discover the development. Let us understand with the organization diagnosis. Remember, think of visiting a healthcare, computers, mechanical profession. What is the diagnosis? What are we looking into it? What goes wrong when we go to visit a doctor? What goes wrong when we visit a mechanic? Let's say for our air conditioning not been working around it. Let's say the laptop is malfunctioning. What do we do it? What are the prescription that comes around it? This is what we looking into it, and how does it impact? What is the purpose? So therefore, can we actually go for the prescription and understand what are the remedial measures that needs to be taken. Similarly, for an organizational diagnosis, this is what the process of visiting the OD practitioner is all about. It here the person is specialized for the changes that is made. About the four major types of intervention that goes around it. Yes, this is the point that we stated around here. Four said about it. One is the human process. Next is the techno-structural process, or and then is the HRM process, the human resource management process, and the strategic intervention. These, remember, these are the only four interventions in OD: human process, techno-structural, HRM, and strategic implementation. Let us understand the human process intervention. What can be done if people are inadequately trained, do not have the prerequisite knowledge, do not possess the skills, right? So we can coach them, we can train them. So this is what we are looking into it. And then there is a process problem where everybody is adequately trained, aware of the knowledge, possess the requisite skills, but there is a lack of camaraderie among the team members. So this is where we have to go for the process consultation and a third party intervention, as in if there are any conflict resolution, conflict, or where are there negotiation that needs to be done, we need to speak out and iron out those issues so that there is a complete cohesion among the team members and the team is ready to go. This is what we are looking into it. At times what happened, the team is ready to go, but then there is a lack of faith between different people from different level in the organization. So this is where we need to have the organization confrontation meeting, which all, when I say this, it need not be a higher echelon as from the supervisory level, as in the managerial level, or is as in the directorial level. This might not be the case. We can be having something with the marketing level, with the production people. See, this is what we are looking into, and the finance people. So so different verticals altogether. Remember, this is the different vertical that comes around it. So this is what we are talking about, the intergroup relations, the large group intervention that let us understand, visit the techno-structural intervention. Now, this is where we will be talking about the structural designing, the downsizing, the re-engineering, the employee involvement, and the work design. Now, what is structural design? At times, what happens is we might be looking into something called traditional methods of working or communicating, where which we need to have through notices or circulars. Then probably we can utilize an email. The email can be sent en masse with everyone marked to it, or email can be absolutely very dedicatedly done directly towards the person around it. So we have to be very clear about the structural design. We need to understand the downsizing about it, the re-engineering part, if any of the processes that needs to be re-engineered. Please understand, this is what we are looking into it. If there are any process that comes to be re-engineered, let us do it. Let us involve every one of the stakeholders. Let us ensure that people work together. Let us redesign the work, the job, the task, for making it very efficient, for making it very lucrative, for making it very conducive for the work work around it. This is where the HRM intervention comes in. HRM intervention is all about transparency in respect to goal setting, in respect to your performance appraisals and management, the reward system, the incentives that we go around it. So this has to be all about transparency, right? The goal setting, the performance present, the reward system. Now, what we are looking into it, now we are looking about the admin issues about the HR. It is all about succession planning as far as career is concerned. It is all about managing diversity or different people from different walks of life, and the stress and the wellness of the employees are to be going around. So there is something called transparency and admin issues as far as I am concerned, and basically clarifying it to you people so that you can able to understand, bifurcate the human resource management intervention broadly into two sections, right? Then comes the strategic intervention. It is all about the integrated strategic approach, the integrated strategic change, the mergers and acquisition that comes around it, the alliances, the network, the cultural change that goes around, self-designing organizations, and organization learning and knowledge management. Yes, this is exactly what has been mentioned. Integrated strategic change, mergers and acquisitions, alliances and network, cultural change, self-designing organization, organization learning, and knowledge management is what the major interventions around here. Interactions that we go around it. Then what does it gives me? It gives me a proper awareness about the people from different walks of life, from different corners of the societies, increase empathy and understanding about their outlook. Listening skills gets improvised, greater openness and enhanced tolerance for is what we are looking at. Then is the survey feedback approach. Yes, it is all about the questionnaire to identify the discrepancies, identify the misperception, identify the remedies, and so on and so forth. Once you can do about it, if you can identify the discrepancies, if you can remove those perception, if you can follow the remedies that has been, nothing like it. Next, the third one would be the process consultation, in which is going around with the client, between the client and the people. Identify the process around it with every stakeholder. Literally speaking, this is what we are looking into it. The every stakeholder, if they start working around it and speaking, communicating their issues all together, things get much more easier. Looking into is, it's a high interaction among the team members. What does it improvises on? The increased trust and openness. This is what we are looking at it. Increased trust and openness. Team building activities will be telling me all about the goal settings, the priority setting, the development of the personal relationship, the role analysis, and the team process analysis that goes around it. This is what we are looking at and definitively approaching it. So, or intergroup, on the other hand, would be not about individual members within a team, but this is about different teams and the relationship among themselves. So intergroup, I have already said it in my previous slide regarding the supervisory level, the middle management level, the directorial level. That's the level of the employees, or it can be on a functional basis, as in the marketing is concerned, the finances people are concerned, the production people are concerned. I am just trying to open an idea for you to understand what we are basically discussing. So, intergroup problem solving is of group independently developing a list of perception, independently sharing them and discussing those lists, pointing out their concerns and fallacies thereof. If we can remove such thing, look for the causes, look for the misperception, work to develop the integrated approach time and again. This is what we are looking at it. This is what so an open system model will tell me about everything that is present out there in the environment. Remember, environment is what we are talking about. This is what we are looking into it. Input is to output. Remember, this is what the point is concerned. But in between is the transformation. This is the transformation or the process that comes around it. So what are the inputs? Inputs are your data, inputs are your energies, input are your HR, the information, the energy, the people. What are the transformation is the social component, the technological component, which we have been saying it out time and again. What are the output that comes around it? It is the goods that has been or the product that has been manufactured. It is the service that has been delivered. It is the ideas that has been created, and all about it. And there is a continuous loop of feedback going around as to what else can be done with respect to the inputs and so on and so forth. So this happen, and this is what the open system is all about it. Organization level diagnostic model. What is the organizational diagnostic model? Remember, the fundamental things remain the same thing as to input as to output vis-a-vis the design component. Now it is what we are looking into. Under the input is everything which is there in the general environment, which is, remember, cannot be predicted. It is very much uncertain. The technology is dynamic, is getting updated every now and then. The economic condition is very vibrant altogether, may not be as vibrant as you are desiring out to be. It can be inflation, it can be deflation, it can be stagflation. Then there is an ecological imbalance that goes around it. The political scenario is always turbulent in any part of the world, at any corners of the government. It is all about the power that everybody wants to seize altogether. So industry structure is five force model is what is the most famous one that comes around it. The threat of the buyers, or the power of the buyers, the power of the supplier, the threat of the entry, the threat of the substitute, and the rivalry among these competitors. This is what an industry is working around it. So we are talking about the strategy component, the way a company uses its resources, human, economic, technical, to gain sustain competitive advantages, thereby simply there and nothing beyond it. So, what are we looking into to gain those organizational design? How do we come across it? First and foremost thing, we have to look about the performance of the organization vis-a-vis again the industry, that we can balance it out. The environment, the stakeholder satisfaction, as in if it is there or not, if it is present, to which kind of level. Let's say the shareholder will be looking for a dividend and bonuses. The employees would be looking for an enhanced salary year after year. The company would be looking at, the management of the company would be looking at profitability of the company year on year, and so on. So then comes the group level diagnostic models. Again, the more or less the component remains the same thing. Now here, please understand, this is what we've been circulated altogether. This is what we are saying it. It is the group composition, the task structure, the goal clarity, the team functioning, and the group norms. On these five parameters, the team effectiveness is dependent upon it. So we have the organizational design, we have the design component, the output, and so on and so forth. So this is what group level diagnostic model is all about. Then comes the individual level or diagnostic. Again, as an individual, what are you looking into it? We are looking at the organizational design as an employee, probably as a group design, what are my peers and things like that, and what is my skills. We are looking at as in a personal trait. So input is organizational design, group design, personal traits, and the interaction among them. How comfortable is a person working within a set groups? So design components are task significance, task identity, skill variety, autonomy, feedback about result, and so on and so forth. Last but not the least is how satisfied, how effective, how emphatic an individual is working in an organization. That is what individual level diagnostic model would be all about it. This is the crux of. Remember, as in the journey of life, this is my journey of life, always, all together. It is your thought which translates in your to your words. So whatever you think in your mind, it is your mouth which utters the thing. Whatever you utter from your mouth becomes your action, as in how do you exhibit the behaviors. Remember, all that action which you are having repetitively becomes your habit. If things are getting in, you are into a habitual mode, probably people will be defining it as a character, the general characteristics of habits, action, words, and thoughts. Remember, it is your character which determines the destiny. Similarly, this can be actually prolonged and extended to the organization vis-a-vis their effectiveness, sustenance of the organization in the days to come. I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.